You are now entering That One Studio for the What Are You Made Of show with your host, Mike C-Roc, and his guest, who will be sharing what they're made of. The journey to success has been invisible until now. Sit back, relax, get your notepad ready, and enjoy the show.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, I got it all figured out here, folks. We're back on Riverside in That One Studio. It's your boy C-Roc on the What Are You Made Of show. We just moved over to Riverside. I don't know if I said Fireside. I meant to say Riverside if I did, because I moved from Fireside recently. And shout out to Fireside. Great app until they stopped being a great app. and I moved over to Riverside, and Riverside's got its own soundboard, but I still have my stuff on the Rodecaster. And so I'm still trying to figure this out, but welcome back. And I love the sound effects that we've created. I'm looking to do more. I just have to find the time to get them in there. But we're going to be having some more fun on this show as we go forward. I got a great guest for you today. My guy, Lou Diamond's in the building from Thrive Loud. Listen, Lou and I had talked before this show, and we're looking at collabing on some things. But I don't know where this guy's been all my life. He's just a great dude, and I can't wait to introduce him to you. Lou's a professional speaker, sales and leadership consultant, award-winning podcaster, and two-time best-selling author. Lou has made it his life's work to help businesses, leaders, and brands thrive through the power of connecting. His innovative connecting tactics have helped hundreds of companies across the globe explode their sales, retain their clients, and build a thriving culture. His best-selling book and popular keynote, Speak Easy, is helping people connect, engage, and win with every conversation they have in business and life. Lou's boundless energy and motivation inspire. You know what, man? That's good enough. That's a long ass bio, Lou. I told you to send me a short one.
It was tough. I was grabbing it out of a PDF as opposed to jumping all over, the quick links. But as you're reading it, I'm like, I really got to get a freely shorter bio, like the quick boom, boom, boom. That's how I am. Because I like to be brief, be bright, be gone.
Like we can find out more about you. That's why we're on the show here. I don't need to tell the whole story in the bio and the intro. So, Lou, but I got to stick to the structure of the show here. And before I go down a rabbit hole, we start the show the same way every time. And that is with the question, what are you made of?
I am made of a delicious combination of connection, energy, empathy, passion, a kind of cool sounding voice with a name that everybody's familiar with, but more notably to bring other people together and take what they do best and share it with the world, because that is my mission, what I'm made of. Every single day, that is what I do. I literally help people thrive.
And so why isn't it good enough for you just to go and do a job or start a business and make some money and take care of your family? Why do you feel like you got to do the other part for helping other people? What is that with you and me?
I did that, and I did it on Wall Street for a while, and it was great. It was fun. It was good. It wasn't soul fulfilling, if you would. There was something else that was happening too, is that I actually felt limited from a financial services background. You're from the mortgage and real estate world, and I'm more from that institutional investor type of world from the sales and trading aspect. And it was a very, very small niche that I was really, but there were a lot of things that I were doing in there that were different than anything that I had seen. And I didn't even know it was different. I just thought that was the way it was. Intention that what I was doing was unique. I decided I wanted to share how I do what I'm doing with everyone in their lives, their businesses, and their passions. And the feeling I get when I've helped somebody else, or I even bring out the best and get someone else's superpowers to unleash and be out there. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing versus doing what you have to be doing. This is more of a calling than I think it is a job or a responsibility. These are great. And if you love your job, and I've loved my jobs at different stages of my life, it is this job that I know is way more important than any other one I've ever had. And I literally want my kids to be proud of with me, and I know that they are. And I think it's something that to help so many other people. It gets me going. It feels way more important than just me, if you would, a selfless act.
Yeah. And when you were working in the corporate world, and doing that, and somebody said that you were doing something different. What was that thing? Like, what specifically were you doing that they pointed out?
Seen people who were in sales, they were very focused on the transactional nature of a sale. Like they were good at getting to the finish line. I was not only good at getting to the finish line, I found a way to get to the finish line with the same people over and over. It was building a relationship and a connection more so than it was closing a deal. And and not only that, that when I left working with a certain on and pass it on to new coverage, or I moved up the ranks and had other junior people there, I never lost that level of connection with that connection grow in different ways and got other people to embrace how you need to be to connect and to connect with, which is what I didn't realize, which was the root of it all. So the difference was I was having different conversations with people that were leading to greater connections and more power that way. That was what was different. Here's the thing, Mike, I didn't know that that's what was different. I just figured I saw how other people did things and it didn't feel like it had enough meat on the bone. I felt there was something so much more than just, hey, this is who I'm in business with, or these are our revenue goals for working with that particular client, or we want to grow in our business line, or how much business we want from that specific account. To me, that was the result. That was the end result to the much more important thing that needed to have a better conversation, to build a better relationship with who I was doing business with. And that was what was different. What they were teaching things. They were telling you to do the trade, move on, go to the next one.
Yep.
With me, it was do that trade in a way that works best so that you could do so many more with that particular client over and over again.
Lifetime value of a client. Sounds like you were like looking into that part. Now, what do you have? Can you put what you were doing in a framework?
Yeah. Yeah. I put it into what I like to call it's the speakeasy methodology, which was the book that I wrote. The first book I actually wrote was called Master the Art of Connecting, where I was close, Mike, but I didn't quite nail it. I've never done this with anything I've ever done. You're a great guest host. I would go back every now and then and listen to an older episode, like one of my original ones. I've done into the thousands of episodes, at 1,000 interviews and conversations. And I go back to some of the earlier ones to hear, how did I ask questions, or there were so many things that I did which may have been okay, but not nearly as good as they are today. This is something that has been built on a muscle, practice, if you would. And when I wrote that first book, Master the Art of Connecting, I had a lot of the ideas there, but I wasn't really tapping into explaining how clear it was. And that's because I didn't have methodology. And the methodology ended up being the 6 ways to be in every conversation that you have. Because here's the story, Mike. Every connection you had in your life, every single one, it all began with your parents when you were going goo goo gaga to them. That was a conversation. It turned out to be good because they were important and they were feeding you. Talk about your friends that you had when you were little boys or growing up, or the kids you played in the playground with. It was conversations you had with your friends that you got in school, talking to people of the opposite sex, whatever it was. It was those conversations where everything started. Teachers, eventually mentors, eventually college friends, or life friends, social friends, whatever it was. All relationships, your business relationships started with that good conversation. And so many times we forget how important that conversation is. And it's not what you need to say. And it is certain to do. It's actually how you need to be in that conversation. And that's my methodology. It's the speakeasy methodology. I'm not going to run. It is the way you need to be. And if you don't embrace it, if you don't do it, you will not connect. And if you miss out on connecting, you're not going to grow your business. You're not going to improve whatever it is you're setting out to do. Spoiled, Mike. Listeners need to know this. We're spoiled because we get to embrace the speakeasy ways you need to be every time we hit record, every time we have one of these podcast conversations. Things that I've learned ended up being on this side of the microphone and understanding what it really was that drew people in, what got people to engage with me. I was about. And we eventually got them to say, I want to do business with you and write you a check so you could help me do these things. So the speak easy way and methodology is the framework, and actually kind of like my mantra of what I do.
Yeah. So we're not going to get into all six today, huh? They got to read the book.
Ah,
Cliffhanger. All right. That's
you could
fine. That's
ask.
fair. That's fair.
I don't like to break it out for another reason, because I think that the overarching way that I described it, it's not what you need to say, it's not what you need to do, it's how you need to be. Think about, I'll give you one of the things that I love to tell people to do, and this is true, is you need to be curious. Be a really good communicator, salesperson, leader, marketer. You don't have to tell a good story. You don't have to go out, know your product or have a certain way of being so that you want to connect with others. It isn't that. It's the opposite. It's asking really, really, really good questions. It's coming from a place of asking and listening. And when you ask and listen, you are curious. And I'm not
What
talking
makes a
to.
good question? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. What?
It's a great
Go
question.
ahead. Finish.
I'll tell you this. What makes a good question is what's coming in your brain when you're uncertain about something, right? When you really want to get to know what somebody's pain point, where are they really hurting, what they need right now. A lot of times you need to understand, like, where is the world spinning for them right now? What's the biggest problem? And how are they facing it? That's a question I love to ask anyway. And I don't like to make it too big. It'll usually be specifically to what it's. How are the sales and customers? Like you read in my bio there, I'm all about exploding your sales, maintaining and retaining clients, and building a great culture. Well, that's sales, account management, and leadership. In each one of those, the questions are kind of a little variant of what you're asking for. Sales is understanding what you need right now and maybe what you're thinking about for tomorrow. Account management, working with you for a bit, and I know what's worked, but is it working well, or how could we do it better? And building a culture as a leader, the questions are different. What do you like about where we are right now? What should we be doing better? What are we not thinking about? It is stimulating the person that you're trying to connect with to understand, most importantly, where we are right now. And here's my point about being curious. It's not just the question. It is that you literally on your side have to know what's that void you need to know. It's the missing link that you don't understand where it is. You're not just asking it for the sake of asking it, even though you may think you know the answer. You don't. The real answer and the words that they're being used, what somebody's feeling and where their real problem is what needs to be addressed right now. And see how you can help them, because the currency of connection, Mike, is help. Every question you leading towards how you can help the person you're trying to connect with. And if you go in with that theory and a genuine need to want to help others, you said, why do I want to do this? And why aren't I just want to take a job and write a check? It's because I literally can't breathe at night unless I know that I'm helping somebody else. I feel that's my need. I got to be giving and helping because that person needs the help. And if you're able to help them, my goodness, that's already improving the world that we're at. So the questions will vary based on that need in that person, but more notably, the questions will always be leaning towards that currency of exchange. How are you going to be able to help them solve that problem with the question that they have, the question you've asked them, and how they come back with that answer?
Love it, man. 100% in alignment with that. Now, let's shift to talking about you, because this show is called What Are You Made Of? And can you share, Lou, a pivotal moment that rocked your world and kind of reshaped your outlook and how it transformed you?
I'm going to give you ones from a long time ago that got me into this line of work, into speaking, consulting. I want to talk about what happened about a year ago. We're recording this in early October of 23, and it was right around this time last year. I got a phone call from someone like us, Mike, even though no one's really like you and me. Someone who was doing podcasting for a long time and knew that I was doing it well. And we have found, I say me, my team, my Thrive Loud organization, which has got a lot of people that have helped to produce a podcast, a consulting business, a sales and leadership growth program, and a lot of courses that we help people really to coach them to that next level. And I love the podcasting medium and the passion that we have from it. And I've always taken it a little bit differently, no different than the way I connect with people versus just being transactional. I like that holistic relationship. Podcasting is almost the same thing. This individual had been podcasting for 6 years and was about to pod fade, as I like to call it, really like fading out of doing podcasting. Mike, I was upset because one, I actually listened to this person's show and I thought they were great. They loved it. And I said, what do you want to do? And they're like, I'm not making any money in it. I'm not monetizing the podcast. It's a marketing piece to what I'm doing maybe, or I can't quite see if it's really attached to my business. So I heard this and I'm like, and by the way, I was on his show promoting my book Speakeasy at the time a year ago. And it was either before or during. Give me 15 minutes. I want to talk to you about this because one, I love your show. And two, I think I can help you figure out how to monetize this. Give him about 10 minutes worth of time and he stopped me on this follow-up conversation. And he says, all right, dude, you've literally given me like 6 things that I never thought about that were all about how they can take that existing show and turn the podcast right away. And I was sitting there and he stops me and he goes, I want to stop because I think you need to make this into a full course and a program. And I know about 6 different podcasters that want to come on this program immediately and will understand this because nobody's thinking the way that you're thinking about this. I didn't think of it that way because this is how I am. I just think this is the way it's supposed to be done. And it takes someone else to kind of call me out on it and say, I think about this. And the minute I heard that I could help others do this, that passion that you heard of what I'm all about, I'm like, I'm in. And that's what that knock or that shock moment shifted a lot of how I'm marketing the show, myself, some other programs that you've seen me recently that we'll talk about here that are geared toward people monetize this medium in a way that they're not typically doing it. Not about hits or downloads or anything like that. It is really turning the podcast into a client acquisition system that they've never thought about. And that's what we built is we call it the Speakeasy Podcast Program. And that bell went off just about a year ago. It started off with a few through the program. And now I've got people calling me up saying, when's the next one? When's your next group coming in? And we're shaping how to do it.
Yeah. Since it works, like, do you notice that they're having problems now because they want to record too many shows? Because when you start to monetize your podcast, it's like, oh, I was doing like once a week, but now like, can I get a couple times a day, like 10 a week? That's at least how I think.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong, by the way. When we started the Thrive Loud podcast, we were doing one show a week. So that was 4 shows a month. And it was a good teaser. It was like having a nice little appetizer. An appetizer at one of those fancy restaurants, Mike, where like the food is so small, you're like this little small portion. It was too little. The conversations were great. You'd spend time marketing it, and we upped it, and we went to 2 episodes. Oh, by the way, then we went to 3 episodes. We have 12 guests a month on just one podcast. Then we started opening new shows in different formats. To your point, when people ask us about increasing the volume of the podcasting, that's part of it. But there's another part, and that's in our formula that we teach people is there are certain types of guests that you need to put on the show. You want to put on the show. And there are a certain type of guests that you must have on the show that will put money into your pockets. Ones that are just, to bring more ears or eyes and listeners to your program. So what we do is we work with them to help understand what's the best rhythm formula to do that. And how do we set them up so that it doesn't exhaust them, so that they're managing their time in a way that either handing stuff off to somebody else to handle the work, and all they're doing is just having really good conversations, and then having the conversations that put money in their pocket. So them manage that aspect of it, which is kind of exciting because we figured it out by hook or crook because it was taking too much of my own time. And then I realized, wait, I have another way to do this. And in doing it that way, it actually created more cash, more flow, more revenue, and great ideas, other stuff, and creating great programming on top of all of that, which was a gift that helped everybody else.
Right. So I love this. And of course, I talked to you about this earlier, about how we're working with our agency and teaching people just one method one method that creates a win-win situation. But now I want to dive into you again. You shifted a little bit to this, and that's fine. I appreciate you promoting your stuff because I do the same thing. But no, I'm the same way.
I tell people not to do.
I'm the same way. No. I'm the same way. Like, I control the interview when I go on, and if somebody asks me a question, I always revert it back to what I have going on right now. I always do that. So no, I think you might have learned that from me. I don't know, but because no, I'm just saying is I do that. But I want to know something. Okay, delving into the depths of your self-disclosure. Okay, of self-disclosure. Can you reveal something that you've kept hidden until now that significantly shaped your identity?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you do with this one.
I'm afraid that that my internal energy is only going to get loud. I know this sounds really weird. I feel that there are times I, believe it or not, am holding back the things I want to do, the way I do certain things. I'm almost keeping it as a filter because sometimes I can be too much. Sometimes I'll give too much. Giving that concept of always wanting to help people, it's almost like a drug in a weird way. So getting down to who the person I am is, that there's a fear I have inside. I'm like, am I pushing on too strong, or giving too much of the store away? And I have so much more to give. We'll be like, nobody can come on that strong and continue that pace. But the reality is that I have. So I've been trying to work on packaging and helping myself understand I'm going to pace it out in a certain way, but also utilize that energy in a way that's always geared toward helping someone in the right frequency. One of the questions that I now ask people when I'm working with them, and I work with a lot of businesses and helping them strategize a lot of the sales, marketing, and leadership, Mike. And in so doing, I'll ask them, I go, what's your timeline look like right away? How see the results? And everyone says they want to see it yesterday, but a lot of them have a more paced approach to it. And that's how I've been working on that. Working on throwing up too much at people all at once, because my brain, it works very quickly. So I'm conscious of it, and I'm afraid of it. And my method towards addressing it has been to meter it. Think of it like feeding a dog. Like if you have a really big dog, they used to get for the dog. It had like little sections of it. Every time I come up with something that I'm going to work with someone, I want to understand how many sections I need to put into this. Because sometimes I'm offered to give a keynote, right? I'm going to speak at some company, and it's just one big blob of stuff in that window of time. I'm going to give everything I can. And other times it's a longer term relationship. It's sliced into those little slices. The dog could only nibble at a certain amount of time. Addressing my fear of that has helped me better manage what I share and how I'm able to help in the frequency that I'm going to help them do it.
Yeah, I think that one part of it is that you can give people things at a gradient scale, right? Like you're working with someone, start from just a little bit at a time, but then you also want to make sure they know what you're doing. So if you start on some of the basics and foundation, they might be like, man, I know this stuff. Come on, man. Like, where's the good stuff? Is that kind of like the...
Yeah, I'll tell you, this happened this weekend, and this fear does happen, that someone was making a comment like, dude, you were giving us such a data dump that I'm lecturing. And I said, oh my God, I apologize. I have to meter that stuff back. And that comes from, if I ask the really good questions ahead of time, like, how do we want to address this first? It helps to also pace this energy that I have towards wanting to really just take that person and shake them up and be like, let's get the best out of you, or let's get the best out of your organization. The sales team I'm working with, there's a lot of tasks on board, and they have to address all these things. Let's hit this one at this point, hit this one at that point. And every day I do wake up, okay, I don't want to give too much. So that fear definitely has helped shape me and how I work.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do to overcome that is create kind of like headings of modules and say, hey, these are the things we're going to cover. I don't want to get into depth with all of these right now, but the topics of these modules that we're going to cover, or whatever you want to call them, modules or whatever, But we're going to start with the foundation basics, and we're going to get into deep on this first module right here. Okay. Underneath each module, you're not going to see it yet, but when we get to it, you're going to see what's entailed. But I don't want to overwhelm you.
If you don't
And
think it was
that
hard for me, if for me not to share all the 6 ways you need to be of speakeasy, you're crazy. Like that's how much I want to be. Like I want to. Okay, nope, got to hold it back. We got to give them something to chew on at the end. It's that same
yeah
idea, man. That's the fear. But you're right. That's a great way to do it. The
it makes sense.
modules and address it. I like that.
Yeah. So let's get into, we have a few more questions here I want to get into before we wrap up here. But vulnerability extends into our relationships, Lou, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe a tough conversation or some kind of fractured relationship that you had or something with someone that offered a profound insight for you to carry on in the future?
I have one of those every morning I wake up with my wife. No, outside of that regard, I have conversations. It's funny. I'm getting better at this. I have an executive board of directors. Weird job titles, by the way. I have 4 people that are 4 lifelong friends slash men that I've either worked with in the past or have known for a long time, and they all offer me this guidance that I need and carry, and I am pretty regimented. Like we have it on the calendar. I meet with my financial person, once a week, finances that thinking about wealth in a different way or how we're addressing the business. I have a colleague who's almost like my head of HR, who's always thinking, is this where you're shaping your career? Is it going in the way that you want it to? I have someone with a more strategic direction that's really good at helping me pick that strategy and plan. And the other one is definitely your chairman of the board emeritus, someone who's done what I've done in the past. And I love chatting with this, me that view from what it was like when and what they think it could be going forward. It's such a good balance to look at how things were versus where things are, and specifically as I get older, be able to balance that. So those conversations that I have, every single one of them, in their own compartmentalized way and what they specialize, Mike, has been unbelievably instrumental and sometimes challenging, like painful. Being told that's not working, like someone telling me this the way you're going. And I know how much you love that. We got to switch the gears. We got to change it so that it does work. Or this is going great, but does it have longevity? How does it need to adapt and change? Those conversations are hard sometimes because in the world of being a solopreneur, entrepreneur, it's more like an entrepreneur because I got a whole think of it this way. It's like going in with a sword and a loincloth every single time you go into new clients, new stuff. So it's hard. Everything hurts. Everything hits. So being able to have that perspective of other people that you trust, who will hit you with the hard news when you need to hear it, is a good reality check. And I mentioned my partner in life and hit me. This is, when some model isn't working, this isn't working. We got to change it yesterday, and let's get to it. And those are tough conversations. Needed, important, and shift the way I need to be each day.
Yeah. I feel it, man. Having a good woman behind you, or next to you, or in front of you, whatever you want to say, on top of you, it's always a good thing, or underneath of you. I mean, listen, I'm ornery. I apologize for all those, but having a good woman and I'll just better shut up before I start digging a deeper hole.
I agree with you. A good partner. Look, everyone's got their own good partners, and like not, yeah. Trust me, as 2 men here have and a good woman who is not only a partner but is involved in everything. I used to try and do church and state where I was doing work stuff together, but when it becomes your business and your brand and it's so much of you, I've only been better at my job because of it.
Yeah.
There used to be an expression like when you're a public speaker. This is a true story. You're better off not having the spouse in the room because you behave a little differently. And I actually have shifted on that. I like when she's now in the room because now I have a good rudimentary process to the way that I do. Sometimes not thinking or keeping it separate. Now it's all one team, one dream. So it's a really cool.
Speak for
it's a
yourself,
good thing to
pal.
have.
Speak for yourself, because I don't act differently when my wife's in the room, and that gets me in trouble. You know, because like I have these
To each his
clubhouse
own.
rooms sometimes, and I'm talking and I'm going and I put on a show, right? It's not like really, it's me, but I'm putting on a show too. And she's like, "Why did you just say that?" And I'm like, "I'm putting on a show. It's not really about you." She goes, "Yeah, but they don't know that." I'm like, "Yeah, they do. It's a show." No, so anyway, Lou, what's podcasting? You know, a lot of people don't realize that don't do podcasting, guesting, and having a show. What has it done for your life and business? How's it changed things? And how do you view it differently from when you first started going into it till the way you look at it now?
Spectacular question, Mike. In the beginning, podcasting was a means to an end and means everything in the end. The beginning, it was a way to market the business, the services, the offering, and it was a way to stay connected. And it literally is part of the identity of who I am. Out, I want people to recognize me. Lou Diamond, he's a professional speaker and a best-selling author, or a top consultant in that regard. Whether I knew it or not, the podcasting has become what people will recognize me. They go, "That's Lou Diamond from podcasting guy, who also happens to do these other things." And I used to hate that. So the transformation that happened with that is, dude, that's who I am. That's why the way it is. It's because of the lessons I've learned behind this microphone. The forum that I have to utilize, I am now going to events, having speakers and all the guest speakers and every panels, and I'm hosting podcasts on those particular shows for these events, which is the craziest thing in the entire world, because the whole purpose originally of the podcasting was so that I could be one of the speakers of the events. It's kind of weird, right? But I'm now more proud of it, and I've looking that we're really good at it. We produce great shows. We're creating new content for new people. We are going out and helping other people and turning their podcasts into money. So it'd be an aspect and a component of our business, which is such a shift from what it started out to be. So yes, it means everything. And again, it was a means to an end, and now in the end, it means everything.
Yeah, guys. So listen, everybody listening, thriveloud.com. Go check it out. Go check out Lou's program. He has a program, if you're a podcast host, to teach you how to monetize and turn your podcast into podcash. Go check him out. Lou Diamond, thank you so much for joining us here on the What Are You Made Of show today.
You got it, my friend. And we're going to get you one of the special programs called the Post Pod Show, which I think you're going to like about a lot. Stay tuned for more on that.
Always coming up with something new. Always coming up with something new. I love it. Every time I talk to him, he's got new and exciting. This is, by the way, if you don't have something new and exciting when people check in with you, or you see somebody you haven't seen in a while and you just say, same old, like what kind of boring ass life is that, guys? You know, so Lou's a, cut from the same cloth as I am. We're always figuring out new and exciting, causing and creating futures. Love it, Lou. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for listening to the What Are You Made Of show with your boy C-Roc and Lou Diamond in that one studio. Until next time, be that one.